Yo. Alright, I said, I'm bored. So let's freestyle. Let's get rid of this boredom. Because guess what, Adam Stark? If I was a candidate, you should be for him. And you should say my name is forementioned for being somebody who is forewarned to kick anyone's forefathers' asses, even if they only had one dad. It's too bad because it's one sad motherfucking world that we living in. And Adam Stark sees the door, he kicks it in. You gonna be somewhere else? You wish you were then, like you were going back in your own head and imagining you were in a different place because Adam gets in your face, and then guess what? You'll be into space, as in outer space, not as in you're interested in astrology, but you'll be into space as in I took your ass there physiologically, as in I beat your ass so bad, I fucking tortured you, I fucking took you to a new place you didn't want to go to, and it was an adventure that you were forced to do, not something you wanted to, not something you voluntarily acted upon, but something got into your head, like Adam Stark was just putting you as a pawn on the fucking chessboard, and then guess what, you got beaten up, you got your chest torn, like I fucking took the game and just ripped it up, but I'm also saying your chest as in your chest as a T to the end of it when Adam Stark is saying this stuff, because guess what, I have a fucking hype level like this high, and Adam is living it up, and living it up as in raising the level that it was at the bar too, and guess what, Adam Stark will come up with another bar too, and guess what, Adam Stark will say something animated, and I'm not going to rhyme it with saying the word cartoon, I'm going to animate it, rhyme it with saying something else, which is drastic, which is something that Adam created, which means I can rhyme it by saying I'm going to hit you with something crazy that you wouldn't be able to see coming, as if it was beep beep R2 and he was doing a self-destruct function, and I just said that because that was something you couldn't have come up with even if you thought of it and took the time to write this shit down. Guess what, your mind would have been abroad with it. In other words, I'm saying you a bitch, or I'm saying you in a foreign place. I just put two meanings into one line, and you heard me from this guy first, because I am the one most affordable space of place to listen to, because the space that you're into right now, Adam Stark's space, Adam Stark's face, is a place that you won't be wasting your time listening to, because this guy's got some rhymes that he's given to you, and guess what else he's given to you? Talking to the haters only, ass whoopings, and guess what's going to happen, because Adam's looking for some fights, whether they're fair or not. Guess what? Adam Stark is a motherfucking apparent boxer who's just going to hit you with the southpaw, or maybe it's the north one. That's not a real boxing stance, but I said it anyway because Adam Stark can afford to come up with new rhymes, because I'm forthcoming with my fucking punchlines, and punches can be punchlines at the same time. It can be punches or punchlines, so it's physical, mental, or some other type of abuse, emotional, I guess that's going to happen, but you're going to lose either way that happens, because this is a promotional way of me to get my rhymes off. And Adam Stark, he's just a divine god in the sense of rhymes only, but I'm not saying in a god of any religious type, because homie, I wouldn't put myself in a place like that. That's offensive to people who believe in their different religion. Everybody is different. I respect their perspectives of different ways that they live in. That's totally fine. All I'm saying is you got to be promoting the guys that actually giving you amazing, unconventional, controversial rhymes, and otherwise what you're doing is not being, yes, no, you're being otherwise. I don't know, I put that in another context, because Adam Stark will put you in the fucking table of contents under dumb concepts, and that was contents, like I just said two words that sound the same, and I just did that because it was crazy and you couldn't have come up with it, because you're lame in the way that you can't come up with rhymes that are great in this way, in this display that it is made. And when I'm saying things that are disrespectful, that's only going towards those people that are disrespectful, and not the people that you're trying to get to in this echo chamber that I'm creating of great rhymers and greatness. So when you hear disses, listening to this guy saying his shit, when it gets out of his lips, it's not meant for you, the good fans. So if you hear a diss, don't get offended at all. Don't think it's for you. It's not for the guy or girl that is listening to this rhyme that's coming from this guy. It's coming from somebody who has a hateful type of personality, where they have to say everything bad because their reality sucks worse than anything that they have came across. And after they get past the fucking horrible lifestyle that they've been living, it rapidly changes their perspective, because they have to listen to somebody who is giving their ass a kicking worse than they've ever lived into a different dimension that they never thought they could get in, as if they had a bunch of fucking keys in a collection, but they couldn't find the right one to get inside of the place because it didn't fit in the keyhole of any of the selection that they went into, because it was something that just this faulty, defective inventions that they just come up with. And that's what most rappers do these days, is they just come up with something that doesn't make any sense, but then they put it out, and then guess what, It's going to get plenty spins since those things wouldn't rhyme normally unless you add a different spin to the vowel, but meant to mention that I can also come up with something crazy because it was something that was going to garner extra attention. And guess what? I can even garner fucking fame throwing dirt on me like a gardener who was trying to get a plant and they were trying to plant an idea inside of it. But again, guess what? You can't be a gardener who's planting an idea. That wouldn't make sense, would it? Unless you wrote fucking idea and you put that on the fucking label of the plant next to it. But that would be different because that wouldn't actually be an idea, would it? That would be just the word idea being planted next to it, and it wouldn't be something that would get cut and put in the soil, would it? But if it did, guess what? You could say that would work in that sense, but Adam would start to come up with something crazy. I can invent and advent and do things that you wouldn't be able to do with your mind, because in that sense, this is something that I can come up with shit that it would take people that I hate years to write. And guess what? You're going to be in fear tonight if you didn't hear rhymes like this, because I come up with the craziest shit and I will do it for the rest of my entire life, no matter how long I will live, until that's rhymes are going to be coming out of my fucking lips and they're going to make you suck a dick who's trying to get on top of some other shit, who's trying to get way past the mountains on top of Mother Nature's, other clit. And I just said Mother Nature's other clit. I said something you wouldn't have thought of. But in other words, I'm saying life is a bitch, and if Mother Nature is the most common way to put it, then where else are you going to put your money where your mouth is? And mouth is also synonymous for lips, and that's why when I said Mother Clit, it made sense in that sort of way to say it, because vagina and lips can also be intertwined for different things that you can put in your mind, and I just made you think of a crazy thought you wouldn't have thought of if you weren't listening to this guy, and otherwise you would have changed the channel, listened to some other type of different rhymes. We would have came up with the most easy shit that you wouldn't have to think at all. It wouldn't be anything thought-provoking. You would just listen to something and your mind would be awful, like smoking DMT for 10 hours straight and then thinking you understand the whole world and life is great, like you were just tripping on some crazy fucking acid and mushrooms. Oh, that's okay, because guess what? Adam is accustomed to coming up with crazy rhymes, and I'm also busting through all sorts of doors and gates and other places and other areas to climb, because nothing has been able to stop me. No defense is impenetrable when it's coming up against Adam Stark, because Adam Stark is coming up with a crazy offensive attack modes that I will make sure to implant anybody that gets in my way, because guess what? Adam Stark is amazing with ways that he comes up with different displays to create things that you will not be able to stop, even if you had the most amount of people on your side to come against me and you raised an army against what I'm coming up with. It ain't gonna change the alarming fact that I am just somebody who's too good and too intertwined with my own incredible ego. But my ego is there for a reason. It's because I still come up with crazy things. If I had an ego but I was inventing bullshit, well, that would be something different. You should take away my champion ring if that was the case, but that's okay, because Adam is just amazed at the fact that most people still hate on the guy. But that's okay, because when I'm trying to change the tides of the waves that come around me, because I can just erase what kind of things come around me, because it's like I can get hit with so many fucking hateful comments, and then guess what happens? I just erase them, come up with different ways to take them as compliments, like, dissing me using the rap when you can't rap yourself. That's like a form of flattery. It's like I'd be dissing you as an engineer, saying, well, I could, recharge that battery, knowing damn well I don't have an engineer's degree. I couldn't do what you do with your job, but then again, you can assume that you can do what I do, and you ain't anywhere near as me. So, what kind of fucking contradictory bullshit is that? And guess what? The stuff that you say is whack. I just can't believe it. It's one of those things that, it just gets me so damn fucking pissed off. I should start a stampede with my fucking army of good rappers on my side, and just the places that you wouldn't want to be in, because you ain't belong with the fucking group of motherfuckers that are vicious writers like I am. And just understand that's one of those things that, just catch it, way high up and like a fucking sky cam, just checking all the things out. And, Adam Stark is going to be knocking these fucking queens and kings out, taking no names. That's all I'm saying, is because Adam Stark is just, I'm going to beat your ass with this, and it's going to be disastrous. And it's like, I could be pulling bitches left and right like I'm ambidextrous, but that's just one of the things that's crazy, because I just said that, and it was left and right. It was a fucking dichotomy, and guess what? You're going to be somebody who's going to lose that Adam Stark every single time that you try and steal a rhyme off of me, because if you try and bite me, as in take a rhyme from me, then you're going to get treated like a vampire and get stabbed in the fucking heart with a stake, because guess what? There's a lot of things, like, for example, my heart at stake. I just said that anyways, and guess what? I got bad cholesterol, because what do I do a lot of against my heart? Eat steak. I don't know. I had to try to create it in another way that it wouldn't have ever came up with. Any other MC would try to say something and try to make it come up into what I was going to say, and then they try to say something crazy, but they were just sounding crazy because they were more like a puppet on some strings, and they're going to be able to stop the kings of this fucking sport. And anybody trying to come against me, Trust me, they're gonna get charged for that shit really fucking fast, as if I was throwing him against a tort action. That's right. I used a fucking court reference. I didn't say anything else he thought I was going to say. Instead, I took it from a legal standpoint. Why? Because Adam Stark is fucking crazy, and he's a mad boy when he gets in these fucking rhymes, and you ain't be able to stop him, even if you had so many fucking guys on your fucking side, and you were able just to charge him up, and then you just unplugged him, and then you just said, guess what? It's time to pulverize, and you put him into the fucking highest mode of, vulgarity and scarcity, and you try to fucking scare me. You thought you beat me so bad that I would just cry, whine, and all of a sudden I need therapy, and you're probably going to say you're going to pull the rest of the hair from me, but guess what? I lost it all on top. Now you're going to take it off of the beard, but guess what? That ain't going to work, because one of the things that you need to understand is Adam Stark is so fucking crazy that I'm as rugged as this fucking chin on my fucking head is, and then where my hands is, and I just had to make it rhyme in any other way, because no matter what the circumstances, I'm always going to come up with a way to make everything rhyme that I ever say that comes out of my mouth. And no matter what you say, you can stop the guy, because Adam Stark is just going to murk every man quick that comes against him. And I'm just saying, because I just love to freestyle, love to rhyme. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's always going to be an activity and hobby of mine. You ain't going to stop this guy, because if you did, then guess what? I would be the sloppy kind of person who became great, and then all of a sudden he stopped practicing for the game, and then guess what? He was immediately left off. He wasn't drafted for the next season, and if that happened to me, guess what? I'd be a very fucking pathetic person, and he wouldn't be someone who would look up to, because I'm one of the MCs in this game that can actually repeat the plays that he did when he was first coming out, and he was still amazing at that time. And this is going to be a bad time for you to have to admit the fact that you were wrong saying that I was a whack guy. All right, peace, everybody.